The core meaning of Shavuot as a holiday is that ideas matter to Judaism. We celebrate the receiving of our Torah, not by an abundance of ritual observances, but by study. Now, study is not really necessary in order to enhance observance. To some extent, some amount of knowledge is required for you to know the details of what you must do. But the vast majority of what you study has nothing to do with the day-to-day practices. Study doesn't merely enable practice, study changes practice. Study creates a life of observance in which thought, ideas, values, the intellectual underpinnings of observance are placed at the core. So when our rabbis say that study of Torah surpasses them all, they are internalizing the deep meaning of Shavuot, in which to be a Jew means to place ideas at the core of who we are. I know for years we always prided ourselves with the notion that to be a Jew means that it is deed and not creed. And it's true that at the end of the day I also want to know what you're going to do when your friend is in pain, not simply what you believe about the world to come. But the process of behavior in our tradition must be accompanied by a process of thought and contemplation. To be a Jew is to look at the world and not simply to ask, what should I do? But it's to ask what ought to be done, so that when I do something, those practices are led by a process of thought and ideas. We don't want to just run like a gerbil, running in place, doing and creating a lot of energy and a lot of noise. Yes, we're doing, filling our lives with more and more clutter of ritual. We have to give our lives a certain telos. Our life has to have a larger meaning and purpose. And on Shavuot, we commit ourselves to thinking about those questions. Now today, as we celebrate Shavuot, we find ourselves in a particularly precarious position. Not simply because less Jews are studying and there's less knowledge of Torah, but actually because there is a poverty of ideas in public Jewish life. We're not talking about the great ideas that we face. And we're either we're jumping from crisis to crisis, concentrating exclusively on foreign policy, as if more Jews talking about the Iranian crisis and Ahmadinejad is going to make any difference. The amount of hours that we've dedicated to these types of questions belittles us. The fight and the worry about survival are quenching our greatest energies of creativity. We have to worry about our survival. We need to marshal armies, or we need to marshal political forces. But we need to survive because there must be equality in Jewish life. So when we go from the crisis of Iran to the crisis of continuity, to the crisis of the Palestinians, to the crisis of Israeli Arabs, to the crisis of Madoff, we jump from crisis to crisis, putting out fires, and not realizing that that process is draining our people of the necessary energies to create the ideas and the values which have to define us. You worry about continuity? Continuity is not a slogan. There is no continuity without content. There is no survival for a Jewish people in a world where Jews have to choose to be Jewish unless Judaism fields a product which is powerful and meaningful. What do we stand for? What are the great ideas of our tradition? How do we deal with the central challenges facing Jewish life in Israel and around the world? This Shavuot, let's recommit to that. As we engage in looking at our Torah, as we celebrate the receiving of the Torah, as we celebrate the study of Torah, let's remember that to be a Jew is to believe that ideas matter. Chag Sameach.